15, and we are scheduled to start a public hearing on the 2024 proposed tax budget. This is statutorily required. I think that has to be filed by the 15th, Joni, is that right?
Tomorrow,
The 20th.
20th?
tomorrow it goes up to whatever, right? Oh, no, that's the levy.
Okay, I talked to, at length with Dan about this before I went on vacation. By the way, this is Joan Winigal again, filling in tonight for Dan Matsko. He's had a long scheduled vacation before he took on this job, and so he's out of town. Okay, the being the first one of these that Dan has overseen, his concern was, and he was kind of surprised by it, so there's a lot of adjustments because we have a levy on the ballot this fall. It's going to be a renewal, we're going to deal with that tonight. And when you do your budget, you always assume that that levy is going to fail. So hence there's a couple of negative numbers that show up there.
That's in the road and bridge?
Yes.
I don't see any negative numbers in the road and bridge.
Well, I told Dan that you should never have a negative number as part of your budget. So he had to make major cutbacks in road and bridge.
The negative numbers are in the fund balance adjustments there on page 1 for current year.
That's the double entries that were done when Fred May was fiscal officer,
Okay.
and the state auditor's office helped us with those corrections.
Okay.
But you're saying something about $75,000 for the cemetery fund.
We were given $75,000 by the Auburn Community Church, and as far as I know, that money was earmarked only for the cemetery, and I don't see it in 2024 or 2023.
Is that an investment fund? Because there was also $75,000 earmarked for the museum.
Well, you got, let's see,
So there was a total of $150,000
Yeah, it was.
and 75 for the cemetery and 75 for the museum.
and the money has been received?
Yes.
Yes.
A couple years ago.
Well, if it was received a couple years ago, it wouldn't show up in the 2023 budget or 2024 budget.
Well, if we haven't spent it, where would it be? I'm assuming, and I'm not questioning, I'm assuming that when we got the money, and it was earmarked for strictly cemetery, that that's the fund it would have gone into.
Well, you may have put it in some type of investment fund.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
Okay,
thinking.
Yeah.
that's possible.
You're not gonna just earmark it and, it's, you know, it's $150,000, it's a lot of money to just be floating around, not doing anything with.
Well, like you said, maybe it's in
remember,
a,
wasn't there an investment? There was.
we have an investment account here.
There was an investment, and it was a big brokerage, that's all it did. It was in the invest funds, but then my memory is that didn't go through, that investment. That was about
I
6
think-
months later.
I think that was one of the things we were doing when we were doing the refinancing. remember when we were refinancing the fire department mortgage and,
Yeah, okay,
okay, and they were trying to
yeah.
get that into some type of investment fund to lower the rating. They weren't able to do that, and they went another route.
Could it
Yeah.
go
So I
into-
remember what you're talking about, but I think
Yeah.
that's what that was.
Yeah, and that's all they did was, you know, work with funds and stuff like that, it was weird. I just don't remember the name.
Dan would have to do a report going back. Do you think it was 3 years ago, 5 years ago?
Well, I think it happened since I've been on the board, and this is only my second year on the board, so.
So it would have been last year.
Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
Would it have been fall 21?
I think it was 21, I think I really was here.
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Fall 2021,
I
okay.
believe so.
So Dan would have to research where the funds,
Well, we don't have that much money floating around that we shouldn't be able to find out an extraneous 150,000 somewhere.
no, right, where the funds were deposited.
We went through a set of motions specifically for that those funds were not to be spent except for on the museum or on the summer. I'm thinking, back in the day, we used to have, Gene, you'll remember this term, it was called Star Ohio.
Yep.
Yeah.
State Treasurers, it's an acronym, can't remember what the AR means, but it was State Treasurers,
Yep.
something.
Right, but there would have to have been a deposit on the UAN computer.
Back then,
Yes,
yeah.
as to what fund he put the money in. Yes, he could have then deposited it in Star Ohio, but there would have had to be data entry done on the UAN. So I'll talk to Dan
Yeah,
tomorrow.
well,
It's possible, it looks like it could be just in the general fund.
Yes, it could be.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But like you said, that should be easy enough to find, right, Jody?
it
Yes,
should,
Yeah.
yes.
yes.
As long as you have the time, fine, right?
Well, right.
It'll be in the minutes, because we dealt with it, I remember making a fairly big here one.
The other thing is, it isn't like you continually have $150,000 check being received, you know what I mean, on a constant basis. So he can do a search engine on $150,000.
But the check was for 75, wasn't it?
I think it was 2 checks for 75.
Yeah.
Okay.
A separate
Two
check.
checks.
There was 2 checks for
I
75?
believe so.
Yeah.
Because we had to do it that way because they were both going into different funds.
That's, okay, that's fine, that'll help narrow it down.
Okay.
Is there any chance that there would have been an account that, it was set up under Joe Burt, you know, a sort of a supplementary account to just to hold the funds or
Well,
to
yeah, I
acknowledge them?
mean, most any
There
funds
was
that come
that.
in are brought in through the general fund and then distributed out of the general fund. So it may have come in there and gotten parked, it just hasn't been distributed.
Yeah. 'Cause there, you know, there are several of those that we are aware of held at the county level.
Well, that was the only question on the budget I had.
I'm sure it's in there somewhere.
And by when does the research have to be completed in order to pass muster at budget hearings?
The budget hearings and all, is it?
Yeah.
They're August 21st.
No, but the budget has to be approved this evening.
We have to approve it.
You have to, and
Right.
then the
Right.
auditor gets it.
Right,
Like this week, I understand.
next week, next week. yes.
Okay.
So we can prove it and we have, just, we
Yeah, I
do
mean,
the
we
thing.
know the money's here, we just don't know
We'll
the
just put it,
accounts.
you know, in the record that, that's a question we had, wanted to answer that.
Well, and it's front and center tonight because Mike has done some work on this.
Right.
We're gonna talk about that.
Absolutely.
So, thousand, I'm sure we'll find a use for that. Bond retirement was the truck payment. That goes back to
No,
yeah, I know, it goes back to 2021 now.
bond retirement is the loan on the new road garage building, and the bond retirement fire
Right, but
is the loan on the fire.
but I'm looking at that one, that was the truck payment that it goes back to 21.
Oh, okay.
Because we found out we can't do anymore. The sinking fund must be the one he set up for future truck purchases.
Well, that was another question. There's a sinking fund for the fire department, for every fund we have. What is that?
The sinking fund for the road and bridge is for
Money we're putting away for,
future truck
For future
purchases,
truck
since we're no
purchases.
longer, townships can't borrow money anymore. They cannot take loans for purchases of road equipment.
which kind of put us into a wash situation, because we're just putting the money we would have been making for payments.
It would have
into-
gone in bond retirement.
Right, so
Yeah.
the ARPA money did save us from having a glitch in time.
Over the past 2-3 years, we have spent an awful lot of money on fire department equipment, mostly because we had COVID and ARPA money, so
Yeah.
that's probably not gonna continue, but that's probably why Dan set that fund up too, because there's been quite a bit steered that way. Well, I'm gonna ask if there's any public comment on budget, which please don't post. Go ahead.
Yes, since this has become a matter for public discussion, I would be grateful to receive a copy of that budget. for-
It's on their website.
It is on the township website?
Yes, it is.
Oh, excellent, okay. Excellent, okay.
If you're gonna do a hard copy, load your printer up first.
Yes, it's 28 pages.
It's
I
28.
just did it on my.
Yeah, it's a budget, yeah, but, because I don't like to go into those budget hearings without having, a copy. They go pretty fast anyway, so.
It's been on there for 10 days.
Already, it's been on for 10 days.
Legally, they have to.
Okay, okay, good. Glad to know it's up there, thank you, Jane.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Comments from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Are you,
Well,
we
can't-
do that in the regular
Yeah.
session.
We have to
You have
close
the
the
regular
hearing
meeting.
and then we have
Yeah.
to approve it in the regular meeting.
It's on the agenda. Sure. Yep.
Motion to
Okay.
close.
Yeah,
Motion
need
to
a
close
motion.
public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Tryon,
Yes.
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yes. Okay, we'll close that meeting then. And we'll open the regular business meeting, first one of July, delayed a week because of the holiday. Craig Sermon, you can't see the flag from over there, but trust us, it's right here. Could you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, set of minutes from the 19th.
It looked okay to me.
I only had one comment, which I gave to Nancy. And it was just a small thing for clarification. We were talking about the, it was a good comment about replacing headstones, and I thought it was more the maintenance of the headstones in the cemetery. Yeah,
Did she get to that?
yeah, because that was in the
I don't know.
Let's see.
second to last, well, actually, it's the last paragraph before the motion to adjourn. It says, Patrick J. Kavanaugh gave cemetery report submitted by Sexton Michael Ludwig. Trustee McCune suggested Michael come to the July 10th meeting, and here he is, and report on the progress of headstone replacements. And that was actually headstone
Restoration.
so.
So she didn't make the change?
It's the last paragraph before the adjournment, PJ.
Yeah, I'm reading it. Headstone maintenance, yeah. She got
Okay,
it.
so she did change it, that's fine.
So I got a
As long as we got
motion.
rid of the replacement, maintenance is okay.
You got a motion?
Yes,
Second.
Mr. Tryon,
yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yes. Okay, first meeting of the month, we do scheduled reports. Mr. Kitco, Frank Kitco's here, he's our zoning inspector to give us the zoning report.
Ladies and gentlemen, you should all have a copy of activity for the month of June. And you processed or handled 22 requests, which maybe seems quite a bit if you look. They're pretty well spread out. We did have 4 denials, which means that probably some of those denials will result in a variance request or a conditional use. People don't, several of them want to build in front of their house, and that's against our current zoning. And then we have at least two people who want to, I've suggested to them if they don't like what's in the zoning resolution, to come to the zoning commission and change it. It has to do with swimming pools. Our code, and the only acceptable code we have, is you have to have a fence around your swimming pool. And these people are insisting that the hard covers are better than the fence, which they may be. But like I told them, I says, I cannot approve that because my code says a fence. If you want to come to the zoning commission and ask them to change it or allow that in addition to a fence or in lieu of a fence, that's fine. But the prosecutor has advised me that because of the way our resolution is written at the moment, it says a fence, and that's what it has to be. So, I know both Jane and I have spent quite a bit of time with one individual that he just can't grasp it. And I finally, his father did get involved, and I finally said, look, this is this is where it is. I says, this is what the book says. I can't verify, I don't have the power to do that. If you want to change it, fine. Go to the zoning commission and initiate an amendment. But I said, the code says a fence. It doesn't say anything else. It says a fence, so, I don't know. One of them says he was gonna go for a variance, and I said, well, you can try it, but, we always advise them that they have that option, to go for it. And then we have several people who, like I say, want to put a structure in front of their existing dwelling. Here again, you don't allow that, at this, and one of them happens to be not only a structure, but also a pool. And here again, we don't allow that in the front yard, so they may or may not choose to come to the Board of Appeals, I do not know. But I know James, between the two of us, we've had at least 4 or 5 conversations with the people, each, so.
Okay, I'm not familiar with modern pool technology. A hard cover, was it automatically comes on, what?
Well, yeah,
Basically cover that rolls over the pool.
right, it rolls over the pool, it's retractable, it comes, they push a button, it's electric, and it goes, and there's like rails on the side, I've seen them, and it goes out, but here again.
You can lock them.
Right.
They will support weight, you can't fall through them.
Right.
But on the other hand, you can make an argument against us, all right, with a fence, okay, the kids are playing outside, there's adults in the pool, you're not gonna be, unlike the fence, which is constantly locking itself, this is probably gonna be open the entire time, so.
Right.
So I'm sure you could make an argument that, that might be okay, but it might not be okay. Again, that wouldn't be us for us
Right.
to.
So, rather than put the township in, God forbid if something were to happen, that somebody's down because somebody forgot to put the cover on.
You told them the right thing. It's not for you to.
Right, that's what I tell them. I said, look, I'm not saying you're not right. I said, I'm just telling you this is what I have to live with, and, if you want to change it, fine. But we've been advised by the prosecuting attorney's office that it's a fence.
Can I
think
make
that
one
clarifies it.
statement?
Sure.
It's actually a law with your insurance company that you
Well-
have to have a fence.
Right, that's what we try,
Right.
that's one of the things that we tell them is you should check with your insurance
Right.
company, because it's the same thing, with agricultural buildings, for instance. Some insurance companies will not, unless you have a rider on your homeowner's insurance, will not cover an agricultural building if it catches fire or snow crushes the roof or something like that, unless you have a rider on your homeowner's insurance. But some insurance companies will. But a member of you guys all know that the zoning inspectors in Jogga County. We haven't done it lately, but we used to get together 3 or 4 times a year, and the Clarendon zoning inspector is also an insurance agent, and he brought that up at a meeting and proved documentation that these certain insurance companies will not insure an agricultural building for damage from a fire or a roof collapse, because agricultural structures are not inspected by the building department, so therefore there's nothing to say that they are or are not built to stand,
Yeah, even if they run it as a rider, the insurance company's gonna send somebody out
Right.
to inspect it first.
But, but I know for a fact that, the building department used to, at least it used to, the position used to be, if you brought electricity into your agricultural structure, they would inspect it till it got to the wall. After it got inside, they would not. And some do, some don't, but like I said, our building department, that was the position they had taken several years back, that they will not, and they flat out will not inspect for snow load or anything else unless you pull a permit for an accessory structure or something like that, not classified as agriculture. So we, those are some of the things we've been, Jane and I have been dealing with, is trying to explain that to people. They just, they get, oh, my builder says, and I said, yeah, your builder will tell you anything, so.
Back to that swimming pool thing, I remember when that amendment went in, and we had an actual fence guy on the commission
Right.
at the time, and I remember he had a 3-ring binder with every community
Yep.
locally and their regulations on
Yep.
fences, so that was pretty thoroughly
Mhm.
researched before it went in.
Yes,
If
it
you
was.
have an above ground pool that's with it's 4 foot, that's exempt.
Yep.
Doesn't need a fence. This basically is a fence, just filled with water.
That's all I have, gentlemen.
Anybody with any questions regarding zoning? Mr. Kitco. Thank you, Frank. Okay, Emmerich Gordon is on vacation, but he's still in town if anybody needs him. So Mike Ludwig has come in tonight. We're going to talk about roads and we're going to talk about cemetery stuff. Mike's also our cemetery sexton. So take it away, Mike.
Okay, month of June, typical, beginning of June, we have senior trash pickup for 2 days, and where residents on Saturday brings in their trash. We were very busy the beginning of the day, slowed down in the afternoon a little bit, but it's another very good response, for the program that we're doing. We had about right around 100 senior pickups in 2 days with, I believe there was 4 crews out doing that. We had that, we got James back out, he's doing roadside mowing, we're doing some spot ditching, dry pipe replacements per request. We got the mulch blown in off the playground to make it compliant with the playground for the depth of the mulch, and we're working on getting a finer sand up at Adam Hall for the volleyball courts. That's a finer, it's more of a volleyball sand, so it isn't that coarse. And we have one breakdown on truck 16, we had to replace some hydraulic lines on that. But that's all I got. Is there any questions?
The resurface project starts this
Oh,
week.
yeah, the resurfacing's supposed to start on Thursday. They're gonna start milling on Longview, then they're gonna go over to Bridge Creek. That does not get milled, and they're just going to repairs. On everything else, Bridge Creek, Frostwood, Golden Pond, and Sanctuary, those will all be mill and fills, and then they'll come back through and do surface on that. I believe it's a 30 or 45 day project.
Letters went out to residents 3 weeks ago, maybe? 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I believe.
We've taken some calls for various reasons, graduation parties, etc. We try to be accommodating to the residents, but sometimes the project just has to take precedent. All right, before we go on the cemetery, anybody with any questions regarding roads for Mike Ludwig, who's filling in tonight? Thank you, Michael. I had Nancy pull out that old quote, Gene, that you got from what, last year?
Yep.
I did make I can hand it out to the board where I was thinking on what to do. I can hand everybody a copy of that, so we're kind of all on the same page.
This is, as we mentioned earlier, when the church folded up and sold across over here, Auburn Community Church, they very generously gave this board $75,000 to steer towards cemetery maintenance and repairs to the headstones, specifically to the headstones. Because at one point, we were gonna pay for the fence with this, until we looked again and said, no, we're not gonna do that. So, Mike's been, and Gene started on this last year, Mike's been, done some follow-up, and, I'm gonna turn it back over to you.
The company that we're looking at to do the restoration, they did restoration in other townships. I've seen them do a lot of work at Munson, because it's right near my house. They did work in Troy, and they're actually out of Indiana, and they travel, and that's their main, they have one crew that it's to repair, level, and restore the stones. And then they document it also. So, we started the process all the way back last August. Helen came out from Stonehuggers, I think it's cemetery restoration. She came out, met with Gene and I, explained what she thought the hot topics were to do, and number one is at shady side cemeteries to get these big upright stones level, because if they topple, they can take other stones out, and it's a safety issue. And when you straighten up those big tall ones and get them clean, people are going to notice that there's money being spent in the cemetery. So what I did is I kind of, and all these numbers are off of what they quoted last year. It does say in the quote that was from 2023, but when I went out 3 years, there was about $4,000 to $5,000 slush in there. If there's going to be up increases, we're still covered, because we've basically been given a real nice gift from the church to be able to even start doing this.
Absolutely.
So, but when I talked to Stonehuggers, I believe it was on Friday, Thursday or Friday, even though these numbers, like I'm showing 18 footers at $450, when I meet the foreman on it, they pretty much run a running tally. So if we say that we want to put $25,000, and he sits there and says, this one didn't need a footer, this one didn't need a footer, it actually gives us more money to jump on more stones. So it's kind of, between you and me, Gene, we're kind of going to have to work with them. If they're like, hey, we still have a couple $1,000 more, we could throw a little bit more in it. But with them coming in August, the biggest thing of it is since they're so flexible, when they really get boots to the ground and say, well, you got a little extra, it's very hard for them to schedule exactly when they're going to be there. So she's figuring in August. I figure worst case it might be the beginning of September. But they definitely are going to be here this year for us. So.
And you broke this down into a 3-year.
Yeah.
3 years, roughly $25,000, and that.
Each year.
But I talked to Paula up at Munson. They've been using them for many years, and they put like $10,000 or $15,000. And I think after this first year, when we really understand their program more than just it's typed out and we really don't understand it 100%, I think we should be able to get a real good grasp on it. Which I feared the first 2 years, since it's the bigger of the two cemeteries, and with tons of the tall spires, they call it, is spend 2 years in there. The remaining balance, $25,000, is to take care of Maple Shade right here and get that one all as much as budget for it. So, is there any questions?
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of stretching this out over a 3-year rather than one.
Right.
But my question would be, the quote from them is
It was like 280, I think.
for like a one-time.
Yeah.
Are they okay with doing this on 25,000 annual?
Yeah, actually, when I talked to Paula, that's how I got the name. I think it's Fensterbauer up there. And she said that what they do is they budget in like $10,000 a year. Basically, if we signed as much as what Gene and I got, it's a 5-man crew. So if we sat there and said, we want it all done, I don't think physically they could get it done in a year and that. So I think that they work where it's just the reoccurring, where, hey, you have $10,000, and they kind of make a loop out of Indiana, come out this way, and then they head back home towards the falls. So
Yeah, we're obviously, the first work they do is gonna get looked at real closely.
Right.
I mean, so the company itself, I
Right.
didn't know what their opinion would be on doing it that way.
Yeah, no, Gina and I did talk to her and said, we're thinking probably, a 2 or 3 year phase and,
But
but two, it shows the residents we keep putting money in, because if you blow that whole lump sum 1 year and then they're gonna be like, well, what are you guys doing the next year? Well, we kinda spent it all in one spot where, every Memorial Day and that, they can see a little bit more. Granted, it's gonna be done this year, but they'll see it for next Memorial Day.
What's their process for leveling the stones? I mean,
They-
small ones you can probably just pluck out. and-
One guy just pushes it up while the other
Yeah,
guy does.
the bigger spires than that, they actually take the whole system apart. They set it on the ground with old school, I think there's a picture in there, Mike, it's just a big A-frame. They pick them apart, and then they dig, and they put hand dig or machine dig, they put in a brand new foundation, and then they clean it and put it back together for us.
I was thinking something a little cooler, like, fixing, leveling driveways and
Yeah.
stuff.
Or like they do that,
Just pump
the
some butter.
cement,
Yeah.
Yeah,
pump the cement right underneath
Yeah.
it and raise it up. And
seem more efficient.
so you see that team of horses come in, you'll know that.
Yeah.
All right, so what I'm hearing here, after your discussion with this company and doing the research on the work they've done around here, if I made a motion, I'm not yet, but if I made a motion for the contract with Stonehugger Restoration for approximately this 18 big monuments, 18 footers and 30 large footstones.
Should make a motion for
For
what they're
20
gonna do or for the amount to be
Or
gonna spend.
Or 26,000,
Yeah.
essentially, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we could do that, and when I talked to Brittany over there, basically after we pass the motion, the only thing we need to email her is a letter of intent that we're gonna spend up to $26,000.
All right,
And then they'll come out and do the work and then bill us, if we're only at 25,000, then we pay what they did,
well,
so.
that's a decent amount of work, and they're gonna show us what they can do.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
well
start
well
at
planned
that.
out.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion then that we contract with Stonehugger Cemetery Restoration for cemetery monument repair work as described here for this first portion of it, phase 1, $26,000.
One second.
Mr. Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Mr. Troyan,
Yes.
Mr. McCune.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark, for
Welcome.
hashing that out for us. You too, Gene. Nothing more under old business. That probably should have been under old business, but it wasn't, but we got to it. So new business, we've got, let's start right now with this one before we forget. Had the public hearing, closed the public hearing, and now I'm gonna make a motion to adopt the budget for Auburn Township for fiscal year 2024.
One second.
Mr. Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Mr. Troyan,
Yes.
Mr. McCune.
Yes.
Now we've got some Board of Election stuff.
Sorry.
We'll come back to that later, okay?
There you go.
So,
Is your yours?
The road levy renewal, do you have that? Okay. All right, this is also something that needs to be done on a timely basis. This is Resolution 2023-22. It's a certificate of need. Let's see, we met in regular session today, and the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township has determined that the amount of taxes which may be raised within the 10 mil limitation by levies on the current duplicate will be insufficient to provide an adequate amount for necessary requirements of the township, and it's necessary to levy a tax in excess of such limitation for the purpose of general construction, reconstruction, resurfacing, and repair of streets, roads, and bridges in the township. Let's see, Auburn Township provided and authorized in the revised code, and this levy is a 1 mil levy. It is a renewal for a period of 5 years for an existing 1 mil levy first voted in 2005. Ballot measures shall be submitted to the entire township, and the tax shall be levied on the entire township within within Jogger County. It's going to be on the ballot November 7th, and shall first be levied in tax year 2023 and begin collection in 2024. Okay, the board's going to request that the county auditor certify back to the Board of Trustees the amounts described in ORC 5705.03B2, and that would be generated by this levy. All right, I'm going to make a motion to adopt that resolution.
I'll second.
Mr. Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Trinan.
Yes.
Gene, you seconded that, right?
I did.
Okay. We're good there, John. All right, we got a quote from Fogarty Services to pressure wash the buildings. He's obviously got this based on size. I remember a few years back, we had to put some extra efforts in the town hall across the street because of probably smoke and exhaust damage on the upper part of the building, but it's in the same shape as everybody else now. Once again, it's a maintenance thing, does not need to be bid. And his quotes are to do the Parker building up at the park, $430. Adam Hall, $549. This building, $522. And the town hall, $450. Total of $1,951. And if you haven't noticed, if you haven't looked closely, particularly the east wall of this building needs some work. And they tell me Parker building is, we do. I was up at Adam Hall Friday, and that's certainly, we've got, between birds and wasps and everything else that likes to.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to contract with Fogarty Services for a total of $1,951 for power washing of the aforementioned buildings.
I'll second.
I think it's been 3 years since we've done this probably.
Mr. Tryon,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yes. All right, our ongoing cable communications installation, which seems to have to be something every meeting. This is at the road department.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you well versed enough on this to describe it, guys? This is essentially a cabinet, I guess, right now, everything's mounted on a piece of plywood up there.
It's mounted on a piece of plywood. There, I guess, what I heard from Emmerich is they proposed putting this cabinet up to keep everything from the moisture and dust, because where everything is it's on the northwest corner of the building. That's the main door that we come in, so, dust, anything, but too with, salt and moisture and that. So I guess the proposal was get everything in a cabinet to make it less prone to, which we all know electronics, it doesn't like dust or moisture.
Are they relocating it, or this is just
I believe they're putting it in the same spot, PJ.
This is just a more airtight or
Yeah.
whatever configuration. Any thoughts there, rest of the board? I gotta tell you, this is something this has been something, additional every meeting, it seems like here. So, I don't know, are we getting to the end of this now, I hope?
That should be it, but I'm not gonna stake my life on it, because there's always somebody coming up with something.
I know they're working with the data processing job.
Well, I think it started out that the road garage wasn't really part of all this,
Right.
and it got added after the fact, but I mean, I'm glad we're getting everything tied into one system, and this piecemealing has been doing good for us.
Right.
Cable Communication Inc. is doing it.
Yeah.
They're on Queensway. I'll make a motion to accept it.
Second?
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Tryon,
Yes.
Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yes. Okay, and we got one more item on the agenda, and this has been wearing me out too, is the generator at the road department, which, when did that fail last? Was that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah. And I've been hearing about these notorious spark plugs on this V10. And like everything else, if I was told they cost $100, they're actually, I see $160 now, each spark plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's how everything goes now. It used to be 100, now it's 2.
What's the quote?
$2,017.30, but of that, the spark plugs themselves are $1,574.30. Amazing.
Yeah.
Those champions.
They better be.
Roke, we gotta fix it, I'll make the motion to accept.
Yeah.
I'll second.
In his defense, it only seems to break when there's blackouts.
Mr. Tryon? Mr. Tryon?
Yes.
Mr. McCune?
Yes.
Mr. Kavanaugh?
Yes. I think that takes us to the bottom of the agenda here.
Wait a minute, what about reports?
Oh, I guess I skipped right past that, didn't I?
Yeah, you know that stuff, something
Did
like that.
the important stuff, all right, stuff. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, yeah, I just had a couple things. I wanted to thank the Boy Scouts and the fire department for the excellent job they did getting that parade together. This is the Boy Scouts' first year doing that, so there was a few little bumps in the road, which, I was talking to the chief about it, it was like, originally you'd go down there and there was somebody like directing you and you're here, there, and it's like the Wild West. Yeah, go wherever you want. That made it a little difficult, but we'll see if we can get that fixed up. Get any kind of head count on how many people showed up at the, I mean, the parade was longer than it's been in the past, which I was impressed with, and it seemed like there was a lot more people.
They had
Again,
set
with
up
COVID, it's been
160 in the
slowed down,
building,
but-
so, that's the seats are taken, so I'm thinking we had at least 200 people or more.
Oh, we had a lot more than that, and there was a lot of people there that were not from Auburn. They came from Newberry, they came from Bainbridge, there were a lot of people there. Because I can tell you, I brought 30 pounds of candy myself, my daughter had another 30, and we still ran out when we hit right here.
Right here, I always,
So-
yeah.
Did you have your grandchildren helping throw candy?
Yes,
I found out you have to regulate them because they're like the whole hand, the baseball
oh
sized
yeah,
handful.
absolutely, but you would have thought 60 pounds of candy should have lasted a long time.
Yeah, I thought it would have got you to the end.
I also want to add on what you said. I want to thank Matt England too, because Matt England helped organize that parade and get everything off the ground too, along with the Boy Scouts and the fire department. But I want to give a shout out to Matt. He did a good job too.
And that's hard to do.
Yes.
Coming out of COVID, when everything got
Right.
shut down, you don't know what is it gonna come back at all,
Yeah.
And yeah, that's true, that took an extra effort, and seems to be booming out. I was pretty deep in the parade, so I have no idea how long it was.
Yeah, very impressive. I think it was really nice, and like Mike said, it gets nicer every year. It gets bigger and it gets nicer.
When they told me I could park wherever I want, I pulled as far to the front as I could so that I could sit in the shade and watch the rest of the parade come through the parking lot. They're pretty good. Okay, and
300 hot dogs and bratwurst sold.
300.
There were like 216 hot dogs that they prepared and like 75, 80 bratwurst, and everything sold. It was all the dogs sold out.
Wow, very nice.
like I said, I'm glad the scouts are doing this because, if you're selling that amount of bratwurst and hot dogs, from an overall township budget and fire department budget, not a really big deal. But that generates an important income for the scouts and to help.
They cleared about just over $700.
Yeah, and for a scout troop, that's a lot of money. To me, it's a lot of money. Okay, and the only other thing I wanted to mention, I'll save the fireworks for someone else, but I'm sure everybody knows that Jack Tretheway passed away. And you had this look like you didn't know that.
I know it's been quiet there and questioned.
Yeah, he died a week ago Friday. He was buried last Friday, and they had a showing at Stroud Lawrence. I just want to send my
Not Stroud
condolences out.
Johnson.
St. John's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's a lot of people in the township I don't know, and sometimes they'll bring up some of the people which the people have been here longer know, and could be somebody I never met. But Jack was different. Jack was one of the first people in the township that I dealt with. I started on the zoning board in, I think, 93, 94. And Jack had already been on it for like 3 or 4 years. And when I ran for trustee, Jack did it for another, I think he went from 1999 to 2009. So he did that for over 20 years. And so I got to know him, and he was just a straightforward person, smart, and he he'd hide behind it. He would just stay, he was quiet. He never, and, but I got to, went down and said my goodbyes, and the only comment was, they had him in the coffin, and his son, Tom,
Jake and Mark.
Mark, I guess he had trimmed Jack's mustache. And I told him, I said, what did you do? I said, because Jack always had that big Yosemite Sam mustache. And, but anyway, my condolences to the family, and he'll be greatly missed. He was certainly a township treasure.
This week was not a good week for Auburn Township when it came to that.
No, it wasn't.
We lost one of the Rubiks, who's also a long-standing family, Auburn family, and then Jack. So, tough week for Auburn.
Yeah, that's what was in my report as well, was, the guy who worked with the township seemed to be ahead of the knowledge curve on everything that was coming down the pipe, and he was dedicated to this place. He was, and I can tell you that the numbers have dwindled. I told my dad, and it took me a couple days to tell my dad, because I don't want to be that guy that says, well, who died today after Mark died. So I told him, and I can tell you, my dad choked up immediately. He said we were the last ones. And what he was referring to is the Auburn High School graduates. I think my dad's the last one there. I don't know. Yeah, 92. Graduated in 48 with Jack. So, yeah. That's,
And one other thing I wanted to mention, and again, this goes back, this was the same statement that was in Zeke's memorial also. In lieu of flowers, memorial donations may be given to the Auburn Volunteer Fire Department. And Zeke had the same in his final bequest, so. Certainly appreciated, he certainly appreciated everybody in the township and all the people that he worked with.
thank you, Mike. What do you got, Jamie?
Very good. Again, great on the parade. Sorry to hear about losing some very prominent Auburn residents. I believe Emmerich told me that the generator down at Adam Hall was put in this last week.
I haven't been in the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
I don't know, it was
imminent.
it's been there for a couple weeks,
Yeah,
it's been there
to
for a
be
while.
hooked up.
It's impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I believe he said it was hooked up, but I could be wrong. The other thing I thought I'd just quickly, this letter we got from the prosecutor, the memorandum about what you can and cannot say when you're putting out a levy. They got Bainbridge in all kind of trouble because they never said anything, they were afraid to violate the new. And from what I read, nothing's really changed, and it really doesn't affect townships that much because we don't put ads in the paper promoting our levy. Usually it's the reporters who report. We say why we need the levy, what the levy is, and that's pretty much we've ever done. And all that is approved, and so I really don't see anything changed for us as far as promoting or not promoting. We give the facts, we say what it is, reporters report it, and that's pretty much it.
I don't remember this board, as long as I've been here, and before
Ever doing that.
spending any money
No.
on promoting a levy.
We've never sent out flyers to promote a levy or.
No, my ex-wife used to do the town crier. I don't ever remember a
No.
flyer being put in the town crier. That was the kind of the go-to way to campaign back then, and I don't remember that happening either.
Well, like I said, I think
I'm
we
sure
usually,
we'll do a pitch for it at some candidates night somewhere.
well, we give the facts,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, but again,
giving the facts is not a promotion.
we're not for or against it. It's like, here, you want the roads fixed, this is what it's gonna cost, you don't want them fixed, then don't vote for it.
Well, in
I mean,
saying that,
I mean, we kinda want them fixed because,
Auburn people have been very generous in promoting our road programs and what we've done over 30
They've
years.
been very
It's
supportive.
been very good, so, yeah. That's all I have.
I got nothing. beyond all that, so. What do we got, Joni? Checks we signed?
Do you guys do anything with the timesheets?
We'll have to back up, yeah. If you guys want to go through it, I just, Jennifer, go through them.
I mean, the budget was the only thing that Dan had.
Okay, I think we've done additional these too.
I think you should ask Craig, he's sitting here, I don't know if he wanted to address the board or.
Yes.
That's where we're at the end of the meeting, so speak now, forever hold your peace. So,
If you can try to work with the county, when they shut down the road over there at Auburn Point, it did affect the businesses. There has to be a way of keeping the roads open one way or with lights, like they're gonna do on 44. Put lights in and they're gonna keep traffic moving. It helps for safety forces, it helps for the businesses. I've heard complaints from businesses. I think Hitchin Post took a big hit, I think, on one side, and then you had, Sandwich King, it was tough on them too. But anytime you shut down a road, it does affect the businesses. And if there's any way of getting traffic maintained, it would help. And businesses are having a hard time still. So just, if you can try to talk to the county and see if they can plan that for any future projects, because they're gonna be working more and more.
having worked with the engineer's office a lot, they're gonna say that these projects are engineered 2-3 years in advance of them actually being performed. And we can ask for partial closures, but some of them,
Well, you're
They're gonna
replacing a
require
bridge,
it.
that's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
tough.
I've seen, and we've done it here too. I think you guys did it actually, road open to the businesses or something like that.
When they did the road here, and they were very gracious to keep two-way traffic, on my end up to Messenger, it helped me survive. But it's not just about me, it's about every business.
Hey, Mike, I'll bonus you since you're the one road person here. On that bridge, because of the size of it, is there any way they could have expedited things to the point where they could have gotten one lane going? Or was it just problematic because of the nature of the bridge itself?
I think personally, I've only seen those cross pipes that big done once or twice. And I think the biggest thing of it is when they're bringing the crane in, it's so costly to bring that crane in to be able to pick these pieces up, that when they bring it in, they want a one-shot deal.
They don't want to mobilize twice.
Right. And that, could they have maybe got them in and opened up one lane? Possibly. I don't want to speak for them, because ideally, the way I look at it is if you can get compaction the full width of the road, vice try and do half and half.
I know the other bridges they did down at Bay Bridge was the same thing. They were down for
Closed it down.
quite a while.
Well, the way they put the road closed things up too is deceiving, because Christ, they had signs up at Haskins Road that the road was closed.
So they still have
And,
signs up in
yeah.
Newbury right now.
Yeah, with the detour going around, yeah.
Well, yeah,
If
they
you're
were
gonna
such
do
good
that,
engineers.
I think,
About it.
I think we're gonna get some more, because I think they just put new signs up in the last 24 hours on East Washington going to Seward Chagrin.
It's gonna be
I think
maintained
they're
traffic
gonna
though.
start again, huh?
It's gonna be maintained though.
So
Yeah, I think it's gonna be
Yeah, I
maintained.
think it's just certain.
But now, I will say this, you said that they're gonna, Craig, you said they're gonna keep 44 open. There's signs coming from Manaway that said, this road will be closed for 14 days.
I don't know, I drove in the Manaway and saw those signs, and I don't know where they're talking about.
I don't know where they are either.
Because
It's the only place I know
way-
that they're gonna work on 44 is up here in Auburn.
Yeah, north of,
Is that
North
why
of,
the lights are up on
Ascot
44?
up there.
But
What are you gonna do there?
Those culverts underneath there are 104 years old,
yeah,
and they're actually narrower than the road bed.
right.
But they can go ahead and take.
But I
the road
was
out.
shocked when I saw those
I
signs.
think they're
On a
gonna
major
do it
state
half at a
route.
time.
And we can't
Yeah, well,
do
it
it on
looks
a
like
county
it's,
road.
but I was shocked when I saw those signs coming out of Manaway, it says this road will be closed for 14 days. Or
When did those go up? 'Cause I was just in there.
They
I
just
just
went
saw 'em
up.
this morning.
I just
Okay,
came from
I was
out of
done.
Manaway today and I saw him. And my foreman, he comes that way every day and he says, they just put wrote something about road closed signs on 44. And I said, you're kidding me. Well, then I went down there and I saw him coming back. I think it's supposed to start on the 14th or something. I don't know. But it says closed and I'm thinking, oh, well, here we go.
But in Middlefield on 608, the sign at Nauvoo Road says the road is open for buggies and businesses.
I saw that, yeah.
Now granted, there were a lot of cars going through there too,
Yes, I
whether
did
they're going
go
for
through
buggies or
there.
for businesses,
Yeah.
but if they can keep 608 open, at least, help support our,
Like Craig
Support
said, they can
us.
keep 44 open, but they can't keep a county road.
Well,
Well-
we'll talk to them, ask. I mean, it is important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We won't mention your name though, Craig, because otherwise you'll find a bridge in front of Cernus, behind Cernus, and on both sides of
You
Ford.
mentioned my name.
It takes you up first.
I'm one of them too, I don't care. That's all I have.
Question for Joni. I know you indicated there was double entry, accounting, for the budget.
Not for the budget.
Not for the budget. So is there a carryover indicated on December 31st on the budget?
I have to go.
Thanks, Rick.
Yes, and that would be on the internet.
Hey, what do you gotta go for? You're closed today.
I gotta go get something to eat.
Because we are closed. Where are you gonna go on a Monday?
Yeah, because now you
There
can
were
get down
fund
to the
balance
sandwich shop.
adjustments in the general fund based on data entry that was done by your prior fiscal officer that had to be adjusted.
All right, so we will look forward to that budget hearing for Auburn. I understand it's Monday on the 21st at 2 p.m. And that was the latest information that we got at the auditor's office. So I'm hoping that's correct. So,
Okay, anybody else?
So maybe I'll call, make sure Carl's all right.
That's true. He was in the parade.
he was there Tuesday.
Okay, going once, going twice.
Motion
For
to
that
adjourn.
Ultimate motion.
Second.
Mr. Tryon,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Kavanaugh
Yes.
at 8:20.
Yeah.
Reach your own account first in 51 days.
Thank you, Joe.
I don't have COVID, I have bronchitis.